Meanwhile, we are looking at the House's hearing. The House held its first impeachment inquiry hearing yesterday against President Biden. Here's Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer laying things out for us this week. Watch.
At least 10 times, Joe Biden lied to the American people that he never spoke to his family about their business dealings. He lied by telling the American people that there was an absolute wall between his official government duties and his personal life. Let's be clear. There was no wall.
Law professor Jonathan Turley, one of the witnesses yesterday, broke down how President Biden could have benefited from foreign influence peddling. Watch.
Can a benefit to your family be a benefit to you?
It is. There's been repeated statements that you need to show that President Biden accepted direct money in order for this to constitute a benefit, even under criminal cases that deal with bribery, extortion, and the Hobbs Act. The courts actually have rejected that. They've said that money going to family members is, in fact, a benefit.
Joining me right now is former federal prosecutor and Fox News contributor Andrew McCarthy. Andy, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Hi, Maria.
What is your assessment of that hearing and where we are right now in terms of this impeachment inquiry? Give us your opinion.
Well, you know, Maria, I thought that there were a lot of people yesterday who said they were disappointed because there didn't seem to be any smoking gun or anything that came out of the hearing. And I just think that's a testament to the success of the committee process going up into the impeachment inquiry, because if you knew nothing at all about any of this going into yesterday, and they told you that the Biden family between 2014 and 2019 raked in $24 million from corrupt and anti-American regimes, or at least people connected to them, that would be jaw-dropping. So part of the reason I think people came away from yesterday's hearing a little bit disappointed is because we've heard all this stuff before because of the tremendous progress that the other committees made. And yesterday was just a pretty standard hearing that you would do at the beginning of anything as important as an impeachment inquiry, to explain what is required for impeachment and give a general outline of what you think you're going to prove in the coming hearings. And I think that's what they did yesterday. And, you know, their process is a little bit unwieldy. They had 47 different members asking 5-minute rounds of questions. So it's hard to, you know, it's hard to stay with one thread for any sustained length of time. But, you know, this is going to be a long process.
Well, let's talk about some of the potential evidence that the House Republicans have talked about. This $260,000 in wire payments. There was one check for $250,000 and another check for $10,000 from Hunter Biden's Chinese business partners, labeled as a personal investment. Despite Hunter's legal team claiming that the money was part of a loan, the beneficiary address for that wire was listed as Joe Biden's Delaware home. And I find this really striking because at the time, Hunter was living in California. So Hunter's living in California, but his Chinese partners decide to send $250,000 to Joe Biden's home. And by the way, this is not like a long time ago. You know, this is 2019. So, you know, in 2019, as Joe Biden is getting ready to run and he's in the middle of his campaign for president, he receives $250,000 at his home from Chinese business partners. I asked House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer about the White House's excuse on this, and here's what he told me yesterday on this program. Watch.
Hunter Biden was living with his dad during COVID. Well, there's two problems with that lie that Ian Sam said. Number one, COVID hadn't happened yet. We were 6 months away from COVID happening. And number two, Hunter lived in California. And that's according to his own book. At that time, he lived in California. So the wire was sent to Joe Biden's house in Delaware while he was a candidate for president.
So at the same time, Andy, the House Ways and Means Committee released an email from an IRS agent writing about a CNN producer who claims to have a Hunter Biden email where Hunter expected his legal stuff, quote unquote, to go away when his father became president, Andy. How is the White House going to, wash away these things? And what is your assessment of those two things in terms of evidence?
Well, first, Maria, didn't you and I also expect the case to go away when Joe Biden became president? I mean, who in America didn't expect the case to go away on Hunter when Joe became president? Look, I think if there's an error here, it's that we've indulged, or the committees have indulged too much, this idea that, there's Hunter Biden's business dealings, and we have to figure out what, if anything, Joe Biden knew about them, what connection he may have had to them. And I think that's just the wrong way to look at it. The right way to look at this is that Joe Biden was the business. There's no business without Joe Biden. He could have shut this down in 10 seconds if he objected to it, and yet it went on for years and years. Without him, there's no business. Access to him is the business. And
right.
As you mentioned with our friend John Turley before, and we also got this from yesterday from the witness, the woman who was a top official in the tax division at the Justice Department. If you make payments to somebody by paying somebody close to them, like a close family member, that's a constructive payment to the person. That's the way the IRS looks at it. That's the way the government looks at it. You can't get a security clearance in the United States unless you fill out a book-length application where you have to lay out not only your own transactions and your own connections with people overseas, but all of your close family members, because that's the way the government has always looked at it. That's the way people get blackmailed. That's the way that benefits get conferred from foreign powers to government officials. It's what the intelligence community worries about. So I just don't see why we're continuing to talk about this as if it were Hunter Biden's business, when you see $25 million going one way and no value coming back the other way. The only thing here that's valuable is access to Joe Biden.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why from the beginning I said this is a Joe Biden investigation, not a Hunter Biden investigation only. And the fact is it's laughable when the Democrats say that Joe Biden doesn't have any fingerprints on this, because the whole business was Joe Biden. And we're also seeing evidence of a cover-up, that the DOJ knew all of this, and yet they still, turned a blind eye, but instead they're doubling down on Trump. One of your latest op-eds asks the question, did a judge go too far in New York's civil case against Trump? Tell me more about that. I mean, this is a family that have built their empire in New York, who were just told they can no longer do business in New York because of that judge's ruling.
Yeah, you know this, Maria. It's like it's the corporate death penalty, which is very rare in the New York justice system, if you want to call it a justice system. But it was just dropped on Trump. And look, I'm not saying that it's proper to do what the evidence indicates that Trump did in the way of embellishing and overstating the value of his assets to get certain business benefits. But this is a case where the state did not produce a single victim, a single person who was swindled in a single transaction with Trump. Evidently, they made every single bank payment they were supposed to make. They made every insurance payment that they were supposed to make. So you want to say that, for overstating your assets, that there ought to be a law against that, which there is, and there ought to be some recompense for that. That's fine. But to put somebody out of business under circumstances where you can't even charge them with a crime in that connection, and you haven't proved that there's a single victim or business or financial institution that got swindled out of this, I just think that's so draconian. It's hard to square.
Yeah, it's so draconian, you're right. But let me get your take on this, Andy, real quick, because we got to jump. When you do an analysis of your properties, an analysis of your net worth, aren't there auditors, insurance companies whose job it is to confirm that, to say, we've done the work and, this is what it's valued at? I mean, you can't trust in business. You don't just trust the person who says this is what I'm worth. You've got others, outside voices, who come in and say, yeah, I've done the legwork and this is what the valuations are, right?
Yeah, Maria, that's exactly right. We're not talking about saps here. We're talking about sophisticated financial actors who don't, if you say I'm worth $2 billion, they don't say, OK, well, if you say so, they want to see the fine print. That's what we're dealing with here.
Yeah, amazing. Andy, great to get your take on this. Please come back soon. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Maria.